So, back to me. I want to start with the I am what I am. I am my own special creation. The very first lyric. I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So the question I have for you this morning is, who created you? Who created you? I'm going to ask you a lot of questions today, and I just want you to think about them. Who created you? Now, I grew up Catholic. How many of you grew up Catholic? How many of you went to Catholic grade school? How many of you remember the Baltimore Catechism? Okay, so in the Baltimore Catechism, it told me that God created me. Right? God created me. Can we all agree with that? God created me. God. Now, of course, some of you sitting here are going to go, yeah, let's just talk about the word God, and let's talk about what does God mean. But for me, God means the creative, what Science of Mind teaches is God is the creative substance of the universe, the creativity of the universe. That thing in me that creates everything is what God is. Therefore, the Baltimore Catechism was right. Who created me? God created me. And God, I was told that God created me in His own image and likeness. Well, once again, Science of Mind teaches that we are that divine energy, that creative energy that God is what I am. So therefore I was created in the image and likeness of God because I am that energy, that creativity, right? So that's what we start with here, right? So if all of that is true, then the answer to this question, who created me, is actually, I created me. And therefore Jerry Herman got it right. I am my own special creation. Because each and every one of us here gets to decide what to do with that energy. We get to decide what we're going to create out of this incredible thing called God. This incredible creative energy. We get to decide every single day. Every minute of every day we get to decide all over again. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this world? So if I created me, then many of us may ask, why didn't I create someone better? Anyone feel that way? I know we feel that way about some other people. If they're God, why didn't they get it a little better? Why didn't they get their godhood a little fuller? Right? Why didn't I? Well, if I'm God and if I created myself, why wasn't I taller? Why didn't I create myself taller? Why didn't I create myself handsomer? Even if that's possible. Thank you, John Livesey, for laughing. It's possible. I could be handsomer. I could look like Brad Pitt. Early Brad Pitt, right? So why aren't I more talented? It's so funny. Every time I read one of these, I'm like, you don't really believe that. But why didn't I create myself more talented? Why didn't I create myself richer? Anyone have that one going on? Why didn't I create myself in a better financial stratosphere? Right? You created it. I created it. Are we all believing that? Do we really buy that? I created it. Why didn't I make myself richer? Why didn't I make myself smarter? Why didn't I make myself stronger? Why didn't I make myself blah, 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 blah? The whole game of comparison. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? You see, this science is tricky. This philosophy is tricky. On the AIDS Walk this morning, Reverend Gary and Barbara and I were talking about how we are in a spirituality, we're in a philosophy, we're in a religion, we're in a movement that is selling something that a lot of people don't want to buy, which is responsibility for one's own life. We're selling something that says to people, you know what? It's you. You have a problem? You created it. We're selling that. There, that's what you want to go shopping for, isn't it? Let me find a church that tells me it's all my fault. But you see, that's not really what we're saying. What we're really saying is, you are responsible to make your life whatever you want to make your life. That's really what we're selling. So, how much of me, how much of James Mellon did I really create? Well, the answer to that question has to be 100%. And I can go back and tell you that my parents created a lot of me, or that my teachers created a lot of me, or that the Catholic Church created a lot of me, or that whatever, the Philadelphia Police Force created a lot of me. You may be wondering why they come into play. I spent a lot of time at the police station. No, I'm just kidding. My dad was a policeman, and all my brothers are police officers, and my grandfather was a firefighter, and they were all in that line of business. And I may think that all of those things created me, but they didn't. They helped shape me. But guess what? At any moment, I'm a shapeshifter. I can turn around and get rid of that shape and be done with that. It's just how many of us actually take responsibility enough to actually turn it around. That's really the question. So, how much am I responsible for? I didn't create the universe, did I? Did you create the universe? Did we create the whole universe? No. We are that which the universe created. So I'm not responsible for the whole universe, but I'm made of the same substance that the universe is created from. I am made of that creative energy, so I have the same power. Do I have all of that power? No. But I am all of that power. Very significant difference. So yesterday when I woke up, I decided I wanted to go to the beach. And I only had a couple hours, and it seemed silly. It was like, wait, it's going to take me 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes to get back, and I'll only have 45 minutes to be at the beach. But I was determined. So I got my kids up out of bed. I said, we're going to the beach. And they were like, what? I said, we're going to the beach. Just get dressed. And they were like, well, can we swim? I said, put on your bathing suits. I said, but it's going to be cold. So they got all dressed. They had their bathing suits on. We got to the beach. It was magnificent. And my husband reminded me that I had, and those of you who have been here for a long time, I have a jar in my kitchen of ocean water. And I took it to bring in here one day for a talk to show you that when you take the water out of the ocean and you take it somewhere and you try to separate it, it suddenly has no power. It's just water. It's not the ocean. It's just ocean water. And it's been sitting in our kitchen for what, 2 years, 3 years? 5 years? You're going on tour soon? And I kept saying... No, I'm kidding. You know that. I miss you when you leave. So, you know I do. So, I kept saying I wanted to take that water back to the ocean and put it back in the ocean and remind myself of oneness. And Kevin reminded me and said, don't forget to take that water. I'm sure it was really not about my spiritual journey. It was to get the water off the counter. So, I did take the water back to the ocean, and I laid there, and I just stayed there on the beach. And finally, before we left, I threw the water back into the ocean, and just as it hit the ocean, it caught a wave and came crashing back towards me. And I had this emotional rush feeling that there are moments in our lives when we feel separate from the ocean, and our energy just dies, and our energy goes away. And we do feel separate, and we do feel less than, and we do feel powerless, and we feel challenged. But then there's that moment when we just throw ourselves back into the energy of the ocean, and it literally lifts us up and carries us on its wake. That was yesterday. So, what created me? That energy of the ocean created me. And it is constantly inside me saying, come back. Come back to me. Come back so that I can take you on this journey. Stop trying to get ahead of me. Stop trying to do, and step back, and allow me to take you. So the question I asked you was, who created you? But the bigger question is, who am I? Who am I? And then today my question for you is, do you like what you created? Do you like the person that's sitting in that seat today? You. Not your neighbor, not your friend. We all know what people we like. But do you like yourself? Do you really like yourself? And I mean, do you like every aspect of yourself? I don't mean, do you like things about yourself? I don't mean, do you like what you did, what you do? I don't even mean, do you like your job? I mean, do you like yourself? Do you like yourself? Do you like who you are? A lot of people, when you ask them, who are you, they tell you what they do. Have you ever noticed that? So tell me who you are. Well, I'm a doctor. Well, I'm married. Well, I'm a father. Well, I'm a teacher. Whatever. That's what we do. Is that really who we are? Bless you. No, it's not who we are. It's what we do. It's the relationships we're in. But who am I is a much deeper, bigger question. So I'm asking you today, do you like who you are? I really want you to think about that. Marilyn Monroe said, I think that's the first time I've ever said that from this stage. Marilyn Monroe said, but it's a great quote. Marilyn Monroe said, Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. Think about that. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. And that was said by someone who spent a great deal of her life trying to be what everybody expected her to be. How much of your life are you living based on expectations of other people? Do you like who you are? And the real question is, are you willing to stay there if you don't? Or are you willing to create something else? To create your own new adventure? Mark Twain said this: "The worst loneliness is to not be comfortable with yourself." And Ayn Rand said in The Fountainhead, "To say I love you, one must first learn how to say the I." Think about that. In order to be able to say I love you, one must first learn how to say the I. Today's talk, everything I want to talk about today, is about the understanding, and it falls right into the forgive everything. But it really falls into the idea of, are you willing to forgive yourself first? For anything you think that takes you to a place where you are not fully who you are. Are you willing to look at yourself and see things that you might have thought in the past were horrible parts of yourself, and forgive them so that you can remember who you are when we get there? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to forgive yourself? I found this thing from Maya Angelou, this thing that she wrote, and I'm going to read it to you. And she said this, she said, "I don't know if I continue even today always to like myself. But what I learned to do many years ago was to forgive myself." Now, I love that, because what it says to me is, maybe you don't like it, but you can forgive it. Maybe you don't like that you are boom, 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 but you can forgive it and move it along, because as soon as you're willing to forgive it, maybe you can pick something else up that you want to do, you want to be. She goes on to say, it is very important for every human being to forgive herself or himself, because if you live, you will make mistakes, most likely. It is inevitable. Is there one person here today that believes they have never made a mistake in their entire life? And I don't mean in the spiritual sense. I mean in the living day-to-day, where you feel that you didn't make any mistake. I don't think so. We all have certain things we can say, well, that was a mistake. Now, in the spiritual sense, I can always say, and yet, my life is unfolding perfectly. But it doesn't mean I say my life is unfolding perfectly and I'll just keep making these stupid mistakes over and over and let them keep unfolding me in this direction. No, my life is unfolding perfectly, but if I make a mistake, I notice it, I forgive it, and I don't make it again to the best of my ability. She goes on to say that if we all hold on to the mistakes of our lives, we can't see our own glory in the mirror because we have the mistake between our faces and the mirror. We can't see what we're capable of being when that happens. You can ask forgiveness of others, but in the end, the real forgiveness is in one's own self. And then she said, I think that young men and women are so caught by the way they see themselves. Now, mind you, when a larger society sees them as unattractive, as threats, too black or too white, too poor or too fat or too thin, too sexual, too asexual, she says, that's rough. She says, but you can overcome that. The real difficulty is to overcome how you think about yourself. If we don't have that, we never grow, we never learn, and sure as hell, we should never teach. So, what do you want to let go of today? What do you want to get rid of today? What do you want to forgive today so absolutely that it never comes up again in your mind? Because that's what your mind's capable of. That's what Mary was talking about. You have the capacity in your mind to let go of everything you need to let go of. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. It's as though we think that God hasn't seen this before. God, the infinite intelligence of the universe, creates all of it. So what do you need to forgive? In you, what do you need to let go of today? And forgive and be done with. Be over it. Be absolutely over it. E.E. Cummings said, once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. Once we believe in ourselves. Do you know what stops us from believing in ourselves? Things that we believe that aren't true. They're the things I'm asking you today to look at and forgive. Not look at and pretend they aren't there. Literally forgive. So what do you have to forgive? What juicy thing inside of you is just ready for you to forgive it? Pull it out. Let it come out. As Kevin's saying, get it out of the closet. We have all been in the closet way too long with way too much stuff. It's time to just get it all out, and if we need to, look at it and say, I forgive you. In the lyrics, it says, I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. It is time for you and for me to forgive our excuses. How many of you have excuses? We all do, don't we? We have excuses. I can tell you why I am the way I am in a certain moment in time. I can even tell you all the reasons why I believe what I believe. And those are all excuses. Because when you back this all up to that water in the jar, and you actually take the moment and realize that somehow the water has lost its connection, and then you are willing to throw it back in, everything that you even think you needed to forgive in this moment is immediately washed clean because you are tapped back into your source, the truth of who you are. So, whatever it is you need to forgive, whatever you need to forgive is literally what is holding you back from living fully. That's why this month is so important. Forgive everything. Everything. Today is about you forgiving yourself. But when I say forgive everything, I mean everything. Because I want to be the wave. I want to be the ocean. I want to fall back into something that holds me so perfectly and beautifully, that respects me and loves me and sees me only as the greatness that I am. That's who I am when I know who I am. And that's who I am when I'm willing to throw myself back into the truth. So the title of my talk today is I am ... I am ellipse. So, ellipsis. Thank you. So, what do you put after I am? We put a lot of things after I am, don't we? My son this morning was tired, so his entire personality is tired. All the way here, he said, I'm tired. I finally said, no, you're whining. And he was like, I am not whining, I'm tired. I said, no, you're whining that you're tired. And he was like, well, how am I supposed to tell you that? I said, you don't have to, I can see you're tired. Just stop whining. And he said, well, I am tired. And as soon as he said it, Nora said, well, and so it is. And of course, growing up as the children of a New Thought minister, they learn the best tricks. They really do. They know how to push each other's buttons perfectly. And Will was just like, I hate when you do that. That's not right to do that. And I said, no, Nora, that is not right to do that. But Will, when you say I am tired, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So do you really want to be tired? And then just as I was coming down here, he went, I had a fig Newton. I'm wide awake. If I'd have only known, I'd have given it to him 2 hours ago. Right? So what do you put after I am? Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, folks. Whatever we put after I am, and so it is. I am challenged, and so it is. I am so overweight, and so it is. I'm so overworked. How many of you ever said that? I'm so overworked, and so it is. I'm so undernourished, and so it is. Whatever you put after it. Now try putting some of the other things after it. I am powerful. I am success. I am prosperity. I am creative. I am talented. What other words? What do you want to put after I am? I am brilliant. Give me some. Yell them. Perfect. So blessed. Industrious. Healthy. Joyful. Beautiful. Sexy. Thank you. Oh, you are. That's right. What else? Lacey, what are you? Gorgeous, fantabulous, prosperous. What? Creative, abundant, lovely. Kelly Lang, what are you? Creative, successful, on fire. Let's all say that. I am on fire. What does that feel like? Now say this, I am tired. Perfect. Do you see? There's an energy to all of this. That's what Mary was talking about. So what do you want to put after I am? How about this? I am forgiven. Try that on. I am forgiven. I am forgiven of anything that I ever perceived needed forgiving. I am forgiven. And you don't need anyone else to do it for you. I am forgiven. I forgive myself for anything I ever perceived. And I start with a whiteboard, a clean slate. The truth is, when we really allow ourselves to forgive everything, that's when we realize there never was anything to forgive in the first place. Because that's what radical forgiveness is. Radical forgiveness states that there was never anything to forgive in the first place. It's all just an illusion. Because when we back ourselves into the truth of who we are, as the perfection of life, what could there be to forgive? Absolutely nothing. So, I am what I am. And what I am is ... You get to finish the sentence. I can finish it for you, and I do. Every day I pray for this whole congregation. I treat and know the truth for every single one of you. And I do know who you are. But the real important thing is for you to know who you are. For you to be able to answer that question, who am I, with I am ... And however you answer it, there is your life unfolding perfectly. Forgive everything. And then we can get on to the next part of the sentence, which is, I remember who I am. I am what I am. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.